My life is good. I write was hood. I might get to it. Not out the woods, so bro, I got to do it. Be a monster. That's why my mantra.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Today, NXT, my favorite, July 16th, 2024. We got a lot to discuss tonight. We're actually going to go over Dave Meltzer's star ratings for NXT Heatwave, because I think it might be entertaining. Hopefully, this probably won't become a normal thing unless you guys want it to be normal. So I'm going to go through that. The Stephanie Vaquer stuff is just way too much to go through all of that, but we're going to discuss some of it. But we're going to start with our news and notes with this. Charlie Dempsey is essentially a indie wrestler under an NXT contract. Considering he's going to be on TNA this week, he will also be wrestling on Bloodsport, and I think he's also going to be wrestling in Japan for Pro Wrestling Noah, if I remember correctly. Obafemi will also be wrestling for Pro Wrestling Noah. And Miles Bourne will also be on TNA. So the NXT talent are being booked out all over the place. Izzy Dane was on TNA last week. She wrestled Jordan Grace in a loss. Miles Bourne, Tavion Heights, and Charlie Dempsey were also on TNA last week. So, things are ratcheting up really quickly with the NXT talent being booked on other shows. And it's actually kind of impressive how quickly it's happening. And I know a lot of people have complained that the NXT talent are, a lot of them are like literal who's. And you see that Obafemi's going to be in whatever that tournament is that Japan is doing. What's called the N1 Victory, which I guess is their G1 climax for Pro Wrestling Noah. And Obafemi's going to be in that tournament. And I was like, okay, I don't know what it means. I don't know the significance of that. But I'm like, okay, well, go for it, brother. Get them reps in. But Charlie Dempsey is the one who's doing most of the work, man. I mean, he's just popping up literally everywhere. This is his dad's doing this. His dad is really making sure he get as many reps in as possible, which is really good for him, to be honest. All right, let's waste everybody's time and talk about Dave Meltzer's ratings for NXT Heatwave. I forgot. I think it was earlier this month. It was July the 7th. Here it is, July the 16th. So I'm 10 days late. I don't care. He put the countdown match, Carmen Petrovich, Ariana Grace versus JC Jane and Jasmine Nix, 1.75 stars. The North American title match, Obafemi versus Wesley, 3 1/4 stars. Oh, this is, I don't know. I don't know how to rate a match, but 3 1/4, I think this was probably the best match on the show, if you ask me. Kalani Jordan versus Sol Ruca, the match that turned Alvarez and Meltzer, who both said that this match wasn't any good. But Meltzer gave it 3.5 stars. He said the match was no good. And Alvarez also said it was no good, and it was just gymnastics. And they gave it 3.5 stars. So is 3.5 not good? I thought it was 3.5. Whatever. I would think if you give something, if 5 is the standard, I guess, unless 7 is the standard, in which case this is a 50%, but if 7 is the standard, then a 4.5 is not even good. Whatever. Anyway, I like the match myself. The Tag Team Championship match, Ace Axiom and Nathan Fraser versus Chase U, 4 1/4 stars. Well, I guess they did a bunch of Canadian destroyers, so clearly that gets a better score. The women's title match, Roxanne Perez and Lola Vice, gets 4 1/4 stars. Same thing as the tag team match. I like this match, but I don't know if I would give it 4 1/4. I don't think it was better than Obafemi and Wesley, if we're being honest. So I think they're all about the same. The main event, Trick Williams, Javon Evans, Sean Spears, Ethan Page. Ethan Page winning the title, 4.5 stars. Are you serious? Sean Spears? 4.5. Man, get out of here. Dave hitting that pipe. I mean, he hitting the pipe hard. Giving a match that features Shawn Spears, 4.5 stars. Look, I'm glad for Javon Evans and Trick Williams, who, you know, they don't really get a lot of attention, but Shawn Spears, ugh, yikes. All right, so that's NXT Heatwave. Dave liked, you know, the faster paced multi-man matches, I guess, but I personally thought that Lola Vice, Roxanne Perez, Kalani Jordan, Sol Ruka, and Obafemi, along with Wesley, were the best matches on the show. So, whatever. Stephanie Vaquer. Let's talk about it. She's got an NXT deal. It was a big hubbub last week when she suddenly dropped her CMLL title as well as her other title. I don't think she dropped her other belt to Mercedes, and then she dropped the CMLL belt. After that, it was a lot of discussion about whether she was going to join WWE or AEW. It wasn't too long before Shawn Michaels tweeted out that she was coming to NXT, and then she wrestled in Mexico for WWE over the weekend at their Mexican shows, which were apparently sold out. According to Lucha Blog, they did very well in Mexico. But of course, there's been this whole big thing about the way it happened and her leaving without dropping the title to somebody, even though I believe now Willow is the champion. That's weird. She's not Mexican. Anyway, that Willow is now the champion because Stephanie Vaquer wouldn't put anybody over, and that she wasn't under a contract, or I don't know how she wasn't under contract. Like, how could she just walk away like that? You know, title and all, just walk out the door. What kind of deal was she on? I have no idea. And it's Mexican, so who knows what kind of contract it is. A lot of rumors swirled around it. Why did she make that decision? A lot of people saying she was a mark anyway, you know, because she had a tryout in 2018 and she didn't make it, and she spent 5 years really working on herself and building herself up, and she got to the pinnacle and WWE came knocking. There was also some people talking, I think Conan on his show, not Conan specifically, but the Lucha Minute guy who was on Conan's show mentioned that she had probably gotten some bad reports about AEW from the Mexican guys there, that she ended up in a CM Punk situation where she went to Forbidden Door in Toronto and there was no car service for her. There was also some talk that Shawn Michaels had already laid out the creative, and she liked the ideas that were presented to her. So there's a lot of stuff floating around, and haven't seen the girl wrestle a couple of times now. I haven't seen more than 5 matches, probably 5. And it seems like a lot to put on her shoulders. And a lot of people have been talking about her burning bridges. And, CMLL, I guess you can burn a bridge. They seem to be a little bit more professional. But burning bridges in Mexico, man, I don't think she expects to go back. You know, I think she figures that now that she's in, you know. So I don't blame her. She's only 30. She's 30 or 31 or something like that. And if nothing works in the WWE, she'll probably still be living in the United States at that point. And she can then go work indies or go work the AEW then. They probably still want her. But the idea was that AEW's chaos and all this kind of stuff. It's an interesting gimmick. It just seems to me like she was a big fan. They offered her a lot of money, so she bit. I mean, it's not really rocket science, you know, and it doesn't need to be, and it shouldn't be. You know, you offer somebody some money and they showed up. Big whoop. All right, let's get into this show. The Rascals are back in action. They defeated Gallus. It was a 6-man tag. In the middle of the match, Joe Hendry appears because someone said his name. I believe it was Vic Joseph. He was the most over guy on the show, and he's a TNA guy. I wonder if TNA is paying attention. I think it's like the second or third time I had to say this. Pay attention to who's getting the reactions. Joe Hendry is getting huge reactions. Oh, yeah. By the by, Slammiversary apparently is sold out, 4,000 tickets. That's not a lot, but that's comparing it to like WWE. But 4,000 tickets is pretty damn good, considering that's about what Dynamite's doing. It's in the same ballpark as what a regular Dynamite or a regular Collision is doing. Considering TNA has been around 20 years, it's pathetic. But considering what they used to do, which is like 1,200, this is not bad. So the thing with WWE is working. The interest is there, at least in terms of a live crowd. Clearly it's not working on the television ratings, and it's not going to, because they're on a dead network. We'll see if it actually means anything in terms of buy rates, and if NXT will have any representation on Slammiversary. Some people think that AJ Styles is going to show up. I think that's more of a Bound for Glory thing, and I think that's likely not going to occur, but we don't know. We'll see. Anyway, Joe Hendry is the most over guy on the show, and appears in the middle of this match to do commentary, pissed off Booker T to no end. Rascals win the match. He being Joe Hendry, looked at the camera and said, "Look, hey, Gallus would have won if they just believed a little bit more." The rest of the night was Gallus being very frustrated by Joe Hendry. Later on, Joe Coffey called him a clown, and upon saying his name, the music played and Joe Hendry stepped on the scene. He's literally Candyman. He has a Candyman gimmick. It's hilarious. They told him to go back to Scotland, and when you think of real Scotland, they think of Gallus, you think of Drew McIntyre, not clowns like Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry says, "Well, I like it here in NXT. I'm not going anywhere." They called Joe Hendry a flash in the pan, and they went their separate ways. But it's clear that Joe Hendry is going to be having issues with Gallus going forward. The Battle of the Scottish. Okay. Gallus getting a lot of run. They're getting a lot of rub for being The Rock's secret training partners, and that's really giving them some legs in NXT, because they're dead in the water, and most people do not care about them at all. Ethan Page volunteered to defend his title against Dante Chen, even though he was challenged directly by Oro Mensah. Ava and Ethan Page both said that Oro Mensah is not a top contender, and then she still allowed him to wrestle Dante Chen, of all people. Dante Chen, of course, gave the fiery babyface promo about how nobody expects him to win, but this is what he trained his whole life for. And he promptly went in there and lost pretty much a jobber match to Ethan Page via the Ego's Edge. Oro Mensah then jumped Ethan Page from behind, hit his finish on him, and gave him a 3 count, which was a visual pin. At that point, Ethan Page was embarrassed. He was very frustrated. And then later on afterwards, the cameraman was basically like, "Hey, you got pinned by Oro Mensah." He's like, "He didn't pin me." Because technically he didn't. I mean, he knocked him out for like 4 seconds, but technically he didn't beat him in like a match or anything. Very weird decision making by Ava here. How is Dante Chen a top contender, by the way? Ava, what was your... And she let Ethan Page pick his own opponent. How weird is that? Just very dumb. Whole lot of dumb right there. But it was fine, I guess. Dante Chen, somebody had to lose to Ethan Page. Somebody's got to try to make this guy look good. Roxanne Perez came out, basically said that she isn't getting her flowers. Everybody keeps talking about Julia and Stephanie Vaquer, but none of those people are there. You can roll out the red carpet for whoever you want. She's the champion, and she's going to be the champion. She's going to break all of Charlotte's records and blah, 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 blah. And Thea Hale has no chance. Thea Hale came out there, interrupted, said that, no one owes Roxanne any respect. Nobody owes her anything. She used to look up to Roxanne and thought that her and Roxanne had a lot in common in terms of, Roxanne being an underdog and having to overcome. She had to do the same thing. Roxanne was upset, says that Thea Hale doesn't know who she is. She thinks she's a grown-ass woman. She's really still a little girl. Thea Hale and then Roxanne Perez got to tussling, where they was trading submission holds on each other, actually countering one another. before the fight got separated. I thought their match was tonight, but apparently it's going to be at the Great American Bash Show, which is going to be 2 nights. It's going to be the 30th and the 6th. So that's something. Okay, well, Thea Hill is a pretty high-profile opponent for Roxanne Perez, so it's a sensible idea to have her wrestle at a branded event, because Thea Hill's not like some kind of chump opponent either. She's actually a believable winner. Even though I don't think she'll win, she's believable. I like that Roxanne went ahead and called out Julia and Stephanie and said, oh, everybody's talking about them, because everybody knows that they're coming. And instead of just kind of being surprised that they show up, she basically just said, you can bring whoever you want. Bring anybody from any company. I can take care of them. I like that. So some gumption. A little bit of gumption. Kalani Jordan also has gumption. She was talking about stepping her game up, because she also mentioned Julia and Stephanie Vaquer. Then she turned around and there's Sleepy Nightmare Chew being weird, looking weird. Very, very strange stuff we got there. This led, for some odd reason, it bled into Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley. Tatum Paxley defeats Izzy Dame with a very complicated finisher that looks like it needs an instruction manual to make sure it's done right and nobody dies. Izzy Dame, she just lost on TNA. Now she's losing here too. She was the object of Tatum Paxley's affections because she was a Barbie and all this kind of stuff. Wendy Chu actually came ringside and brought the doll after Tatum Paxley won. And Tatum Paxley put the head back on the doll. Very nice. Backstage, Tatum Paxley is looking at the doll, and Kalani Jordan walks up and gives her a little bit of credit. And Tatum Paxley asks, hey, you want to play? And she was like, no, we're a little too old for dolls. So then Tatum Paxley was disgusted, put the doll down, and when Kalani Jordan turned her back, she picked up the black doll. And I was like, oh boy, we're doing that. We're doing that. So apparently, Wendy Chu and Tatum Paxley are friends, kind of. I guess, maybe, a little bit. They're sisters in spooky sisters. But Wendy Chu or Tatum Paxley versus Kalani Jordan, that sounds about right. That sounds about right up Kalani Jordan's alley, unfortunately. Javon Evans defeated Brooks Jensen. Brooks Jensen has Josh Briggs as a babysitter, apparently. Everything Brooks Jensen does is criticized by Josh Briggs of standing over his shoulder. Sean Spears came out there too. Oh my God, this guy sucks. Anyway, he distracted Brooks Jensen and Brooks Jensen lost. Hey, Javon Evans won a match. How about that? It's been a while since I've been able to say that. The match was okay. It wasn't much. It wasn't much to it. After the match, Brooks Jensen assaulted Javon Evans, and they got into a bit of a fight. Then Josh Briggs had to step inside. He claimed that his reputation is on the line. His job is on the line because he vouched for Brooks Jensen. At the very end of the match, at the very end of the show, rather, they continued their argument, and Brooks Jensen challenged Josh Briggs to a match. Josh Briggs says, no, last time we had a match, I kicked your ass. I don't want to put you through that again. And Brooks Jensen says, nope. I want that fight. No disqualification. I was like, we're going to put Brooks Jensen with Sean Spears, huh? That's going to be the death of him. Look, Josh Briggs seemed to have something going on when he was by himself. I get they're doing a long-term story with the two of these guys here, and that's fine. But I'm not sure what they're going to do with Brooks Jensen, and if hanging out with Sean Spears is going to be the thing. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for people who have to share space with Sean Spears. I feel bad for people who have to share oxygen with Sean Spears. I feel bad who have to share a locker room with Sean Spears. I feel so bad for you. So bad for you. Lola Vice, she backstage said how she left it all in the ring at Heatwave. She tried her best. Fell a little bit short, but promised that she's not going to do that the next time. She gets mocked by Fallon Henley, JC Jane, and Jasmine Nix, who called her a rookie and told her to go back to MMA since she thinks she's such a fighter. Lola Vice says she is a fighter, but first she said, hey, isn't Jasmine Nix a rookie? They was like, doop. They were stunned for a moment. They were like, oh, yeah, she is. But she's the exception, though. She's actually good. She's with us. And then they're like, well, I guess Lola Vice thinks she's a fighter and all. And she's like, I am a fighter. I'm looking at my opponent. And her opponent was JC Jane. So Lola Vice versus JC Jane, the match probably went a grand total of 3 minutes, if that. And Lola Vice won with the spinning back fist. And of course, Fallon Henley, Jasmine Nix, and JC Jane jumped her after the match. Sol Ruka, Carmen Petrovich made the save. They're building up to a 6-woman tag between these 6 women. Is there something, like, I know JC Jane has like face things because she's wearing this mask right now, but this match was a little quick. JC Jane's been around for a long time. She's been around for way too long to be losing matches this quickly. You would think that they would put some emphasis on her to make her somewhat special, but they haven't done that at all, which is very unfortunate. Tony D'Angelo, he was interrupted his card game by Charlie Dempsey going psst, psst, or whatever. Anyway, he said, hypothetically, Charlie Dempsey said, what if we had a witness? And Tony D'Angelo said, well, you got to put him in the river. And he's like, well, what if it's a woman, hypothetically? And then Tony D'Angelo was like, look, you're on your own with that one. you got a witness and it's a girl, you're on your own. You're going to handle that one yourself. So he's backstage frustrated, trying to figure out how he's going to make this Rin Sinclair situation, because she saw them put the body in the trunk, how he's going to figure this out. And then Rin Sinclair just walks right up to them and volunteers to join the No Quarter Catch crew. Of course, they say, no, you can't be in it. Then she says, well, I'll just tell everybody what I saw. And it was like, what? And then she joked and said that, she wasn't the only one who saw anyway. And then she started trying to play Russell with Miles Bourne. And he just talks so funny because he's deaf. She started that. What's that? Charlie, she started that. Please don't do that. You're going to make me make fun of you, Charlie. Miles, don't do that. Rin Sinclair wants to wrestle her way into Charlie Dempsey's heart and wrestle her way into the group. It's a nice twist. I think we all expected for them to try to throw her in the trunk of a car or really, grind their teeth about how they're going to get rid of her. But it seems like she's willing to join the group. I'm okay with this. It's all right. It ought to be fun at the very least. And they're finally doing something with old long-faced girl there. So it's all right. I would have preferred for them to think of creative ways of getting rid of her, though. Or, the horror of these bumbling idiots trying to get rid of her. That could have been fun, too. But this is an interesting twist. So she's going to handle herself. So okay. That's fine. Trick Williams was very upset, and he was talking on the phone without headphones. Very disrespectful, but also very niggerish. He was in public talking to Ilya Dragunov, trying to figure out what to do next after he lost the title, but he can't get a rematch because Ethan Page won't give him one. He was talking through FaceTime with Ilya Dragunov, who was his spiritual advisor, I guess, his coach, his mentor. I don't know which one. I don't know what you want to call it. Very weird. But Dragunov explained that, after I lost the title, I had to go venture and find, new things. So I got drafted. So I had new worlds to conquer. What do you want to do? He won his title back, but you can't get a rematch. So Ilya Dragunov was like, well, I can't help you. Shit, I got out of there when I lost the title. I don't know what to tell you. So he got off the phone. He saw Pete Dunne, who was playing Vegeta over in the corner with his arms folded, frowning. He went over there to try to see if he had any words of wisdom for him, because everybody cares what Pete Dunne thinks. Oh, Pete's the face. I'm the baddest man in NXT. Everybody cares what he thinks. In any event, Pete Dunne gave him some really shitty advice, which is basically to figure it out. Like, oh, yeah, he could have figured that part out on his own. You got to figure it out. You got to go do what you got to do. Yeah, I bet. Bully. Bitch. Cedric Alexander and Ashanti Theodonis, they own the show now, which is great. Cedric Alexander is thinking about the opportunities and all the opportunities they have on NXT. And Ashante the Adonis is looking at the girls. He's already on the prowl. All he cares about is the women. Typical niggerish behavior. All he's looking at is the girls. He's like, And Cedric Alexander, who is married to that thing, Big Swole, but Ashante the Adonis, he saw Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson walk by. He was not going to let that slide. He walked up to her, and Lash Legend immediately was like, nope, not interested, not buying what you selling. He's like, I ain't talking to you, no way. I'm talking to Jakara. And she's like, what? And then everybody starts cock blocking. Cedric Alexander is cock blocking. Oro Mensah, for some reason, is cock blocking. Lash Legend is cock blocking. And he drops what probably was the funniest line in the whole episode, where he tells Jakara Jackson, baby, this ain't chase you, it's chase me. So Oro Mensah and Ashante the Adonis are going to have a match next week because Ashante the Adonis tried to talk to Jakara Jackson, and Oro Mensah is like playing Big Brother, cock blocking. Like, why is he doing that? Why do you care? If you want to throw that cooch, why do you give a shit? Now, Alexis King started a fight with DJ Tatanka in a club. It didn't look like a real club at all. It didn't even look like it was a party at all. And he just jumped on stage and started messing with his turntables, which is 100% how to start a fight with a DJ. So at least that part was believable. OTM and Jada Parker was defeated by the OC and Mia Yim. OTM, yeah, they're bums. They keep causing my girl to lose. They're bums. Throw the bums out. They're very green, OTM. They're very, very green, but they're bums. They need some more time. The OC winning. Oh my God, I can't believe they winning things on these shows. This shit is awful. Oh yeah, I saw a video. There's a documentary series or whatever on Deep South Wrestling. It's called, I don't remember what it's called. It's like a series of episodes. It's on YouTube. I forget. But Luke Gallows was on Deep South Wrestling. I don't know how many of you guys knew that, but he was. He was balding then. This was in like 2007. He was balding badly. He looked like Bill Dauterive. This was in 2007 or 2006 or something like that. He was in developmental with Jack Swagger and Angelina Love, and he was balding like George Costanza. He was balding badly. I'm saying he was George Jefferson bad. This man, even he sucked so bad, even his hairline just exited. It just left. It just packed his bags and walked off. He had to have gone bald at like 17. I can't imagine that guy was 30 in that picture in those episodes of that show. It couldn't have been the case. He looked like an office worker. He looked like an accountant by the head. It was crazy. He looked like he was old enough to run for president. And he was in wrestling developmental. They should have made him shave his head. He looked like a goof. Oh yeah, Ray Gordy was down there too. Really cool. So that's just my thing. So he was in developmental then, balding really, really bad. He's in developmental now, really, really bad, and balding. How about that? The more things change, the more they stay the same. Main event of the evening, Duke Hudson versus Oba Femi for the North American Championship. This match was pretty good. Probably one of the better Duke Hudson matches we've seen. Earlier in the night, they did a vignette for him, which kind of detailed his career up to this point, which, they reminded everybody that he was a gambler. I was like, okay, thanks for that. So he was a gambler. Now he's the MVP of Chase U, and he's going to become the champion. Everybody was really excited for him, and Riley Osborne was like, yeah, I didn't believe in him last week, but I'm fully behind him now. And Duke Hudson gave the fight of his life. Slingshot German suplexes, sunset power bombs, really laid it in. He had some really shitty strikes in there, every once in a while. A punch here and there that was kind of terrible. But for the most part, he really pushed Obafemi to the limit. Obafemi ends up winning the match with the pop-up powerbomb. Extremely well done. I was very impressed. I don't know how old Duke Hudson is, but he's been in NXT for about 3 or 4 years. It's got to be time for him to get out of here by this point, right? So this was a really good show. Had fun with it. Ashani the Adonis is going to be funny. He was already funny. It feels to me like he would fit in with Malik Blade and Idris Enofe because they were similar in character. And I hate to think that these guys are going to replace them because they're older, and I don't want that. Hopefully they can complement each other. The Roxanne Perez Thea Hale stuff was really good. I like Thea Hale as a top level act. She's a good promo. She's good at tapping into emotions and sympathy. She does come across as being extremely young, which is what they want for her and her character. I would like to see her play a more mature character. The stuff with JC Jane and Fallon Henley and all of them, it's fine, but they need some credibility. They lose too much, especially JC Jane. She loses way too much, and she loses way too fast. So that sucks. There was no Ariana Grace this week, which, I feel bad about that, but she was funny on Twitter at least, because Gigi Dolan posted a new picture, and she actually looked like she doesn't eat out of the garbage, which is great, and Ariana Grace was very happy about that. So that was good. The Brooks Jensen stuff, it's kind of heavy-handed. I just don't see it with that guy. Not seeing what they see. He looks like hillbilly Sami Zayn. Like his hair's thinning. He's got the beard. It's all over the place. His character doesn't seem to have any real direction. He's trying to prove himself, but he's out of control at the same time. I'm not sure what direction we going in with Brooks Jensen or why. Like sometimes he looks like Brad Armstrong. Other times he looks like hillbilly Sami Zayn. I'm not sure what they got going on here. Ethan Page is still blandly competent as the NXT champion. Trick Williams, this is an interesting time for him too, because again, NXT was strongest when he was the star of the show, and he was doing stuff with Lash Legend. Why they stopped doing that, I have no idea. Why they did not go back to that, I have no idea. But since he's lost and trying to find out who he is and what he should be doing, they should bring them back together as a way of Lash Legend helping him find out who he is and rekindling his fire or whatever. Because they were fun together and they were doing something that was pretty good. Oro Mensah has really been a standout player, being involved with 2 different storylines, even though he's a cock blocker, a dirty Mac, which is one of my least favorite men to be around. But at least he's doing something. A big fan of the Rascals, glad they're there. Not so much Gallus, I don't know why they're there. Joe Hendry remains the super over and the most over guy on the show. Charlie Dempsey is funny as hell. He's more funny than I thought he would be. His dad's getting them booked all over the planet. This is great. So NXT from top to bottom is really solid. Only the main event was a really good match tonight. Most of the other matches are kind of mid. But let me know what you guys think. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They distort so questions.